Go.
Get that going there. Give that about 10 seconds and then I'll do it. Yeah, all right. I think we're ready to go. Ready?
Yes, sir.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to Bump and Run. I'm Pete Colaciano, joined as always by the man, the myth, the legend, the continued winning of the Michigan Wolverines. Scott Bracey, what is going on, dude?
Keep winning the Michigan Wolverines, keep losing the Denver Broncos. It's the same story year in and year out, it seems like. And You know what? I got my Super Bowl a couple years ago. Michigan just keep winning. And how are you, sir, as the Jets?
I'm doing okay, but I was going to say, if this podcast was graded based on the quality of our favorite teams in the pro in the NFL, we would have to shut this fucker down.
Wow.
Because we're both not looking at great seasons.
Well, excellent segue. We'll dive right in. NFL Week 2 in review. The Bengals, the Vikings, the Chargers, the Patriots, and my Broncos are all 0-2. However, the Broncos have the most points average per drive, which is a good sign.
Weird.
The problem is their defense now stinks.
You know, their defense didn't stink the whole game.
21-3, dude. You got to win that game.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You got to win that game. I'm saying it started off very good. And Washington's a very strange team, too, because they kind of started similarly against the Cardinals, and the Cardinals had a good start against the Giants.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a minute. But so, I'm not settled on. I thought the Commanders, I think I said to you when we did our season preview, I thought maybe the Commanders would be better than people thought. I think they're in a funky division, so I don't know if it could work out for them, but I think they're better than people think because I think Sam Howell's better than people think. I don't think he's great. I just think he's better than people think. And I think he's showing that because I think even in maybe it was the first game or last week, he texted me like Sam Howell stinks. And then he played really well in the second half. And frankly, of both games, actually. So maybe there's a little gamer in there, but he needs to get off to a better start. It's kind of odd because usually with these younger quarterbacks, they start well in the game because it's scripted early, and then they struggle late because that's when you got to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. But he seems to be pretty good at that. Anyway, Denver is just a weird spot, man. I feel really bad for this one reason and one reason only. Russell Wilson's contract doesn't actually kick in. The extension part doesn't kick in until next year. And then you got, 5 more years at that point?
No, I think it's 5 more starting this year.
Well, the heavy part of his contract doesn't start till next year. I know I definitely heard that part of it. So you're stuck with him because you can't even trade him because then you take a huge hit on the salary cap because of the signing bonus part of that. It's an awful spot, and he is a shell of himself, dude. He is a shell of himself.
I got to disagree a little bit. I thought he was better in the Redskin game, Commander game, than he was most of last year and the Raider game.
Early. Second half, it was awful.
Well, you know what is they stopped putting him on bootlegs. Their run game's abysmal. They stopped doing the Courtland Sutton again in the second half, which drives me fucking crazy.
Is that they or is that him?
Well, he doesn't call the plays.
Well, I mean, but it's not like Courtland Sutton is the only guy on the route. I mean, if he's suddenly not thrown to him, I don't know.
There's some other guys that have stepped up. To be fair, there's other guys that have stepped up.
Yeah.
Mims and Johnson, but
I see.
I wish you had a run game. The run game stinks.
Which it's just weird. I don't know. We were when that trade was made, or really before the trade was made, you and I both were on the side of giving Pete Carroll some shit. And now I'm starting to think was Pete Carroll or their offensive coordinators, because there were multiple coordinators in Seattle while he was there. Were they just doing a really good job of covering up some of Russell Wilson's faults? And I don't even mean that in a bad way. I mean it as, listen, did they just do a really good job of recognizing what Russ is good at and what Russ isn't good at? And they did more of what he is. You know, the whole let Russ cook thing, maybe they knew better. I guess that's what I'm getting at. Russ can't do some of the cooking. Maybe he's just like a burgers and hot dog joint. He's not fine dining. And Seattle, with the defense, the running game, and the winning, made him look more like fine dining, and he's really kind of more fast food. Does that make sense?
Yep.
It's possible. I don't think he stinks. I don't think that. I've always been a huge Russell Wilson fan, so this is even hard for me to like swallow here. I don't think he stinks. I just think he's way more average than we ever thought, and it bothers me, especially consider how much he's being paid. I mean,
Ryan Fitzpatrick said yesterday on DP that he's playing himself out of the Hall of Fame right now.
yes, yeah, because he's too young to have fallen off the cliff physically. You know, we looked at Matt Ryan last year with the Colts, and it was like, oh my god, this doesn't even look like the same guy.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like the throws, the movement, like it just doesn't even look like the same guy. Russ is not. He's not even 35 yet, right?
That's a good question. I think
Maybe
soon,
not
though.
quite.
I
like,
think yeah.
Like if I'm saying he's not 38, 39, 40. You know what I mean?
No.
So it's really friggin' disturbing because I just feel like maybe he's being exposed. And, you know, the whole thinking was that Sean Payton would figure this all out. And so far, I don't see that. I don't see it having been figured out. And especially like late in games, like I feel like Sean Payton plus Russell Wilson late in games should be like a great combo. And it's just not there. It's just not there.
Yeah, well, you know, the Raider game week 1, they had to stop. They needed to stop. They didn't get one, and then missed extra point, missed field goal.
You're right though about the defense.
Commander game 21-3 lead. You got to win. You got to win the game. You got to close that game out.
Yeah, but I just put some of that on the offense because you got to get a couple more first downs also.
Yeah, I hear you. Moving on, Bengals 0-2. They do this. They've done this 2 of the last 2 years, I think, or 3 of the last 4. Burrow tweaks his calf again.
I know this is a problem. Someone texted me this week, like, or maybe on Sunday, like that's going to be a lingering problem all season. You're absolutely right because you got to play, but you know he's a what's the word I'm looking for? He's not a running quarterback, but he has the ability to run from time to time. It is a nice feature.
Scrambler,
a scrambler, right? But I don't know how much of that he's going to be able to do. And it really here's the other thing. When they were 0-2 in the past, they kind of looked really good offensively, and it wasn't all they couldn't put the whole game together. Offense, even though they scored a few more points this week, it didn't look great. You know what I mean? Week 1 definitely didn't look great. This week,
the first
didn't look great.
First 40 minutes literally looked bad. They couldn't get anything going. He throws a pick in the end zone.
You got Joe Burrow. You got all these weapons, and you're struggling on offense. I don't know. And he even said it's tough. It's tough when you don't practice in the preseason, you know, because of the injury. So, but they're the one team for sure of all the teams that are 0-2. You just did you list all the 0-2 teams just now?
The ones that we thought were going to be better.
Who do you have there?
Bengals, Broncos, Vikings, Chargers, Patriots.
Yeah, so like of all those teams, so we talked about it last week. If you start 0-2, you're like 70% chance you're not making the playoffs. Of all those teams, and we'll get to some of those others as we look at their games, the Bengals are the one team that I still have faith can do it, can make the playoffs because they've done that before. They started 0-2. The other teams, and then when you start to look at who those teams are playing, and we get to the preview part of the podcast, dude, it's hard to believe, but they're kind of done already. It's crazy to say that, right? We always say it's too early, but it's not too early when statistics don't lie. If you go 0-3, what the hell show was I watching? Oh my goodness.
You have like an 8% chance to make it.
Oh, it might have been the Herd. It's even less than that. There's been 99 teams in the last like 20 years to start 0-3. Only one has made the playoffs.
Wow.
So whoever's 0-3 this week, it's already over. Like even the Jets have a better chance than you if you're 0-3. So yeah, I mean that's why I you know when I wrote up the episode for YouTube, I was like, this is the biggest week in the NFL. It's huge because of some of these strange teams that we don't expect to be 0-2. Their season is literally on the line, week 3, which is insane.
Same old story for the Chargers: winning, and lose.
Does Herbert have to? I think I might have asked you this last week. Does Herbert have to take some of this?
Yeah, because I watched some of that game because I had a little action on it.
So you watched a lot. I asked you this last week. Do you see a reluctance to push the ball down the field still?
Yes.
Okay.
And he did it a little bit more, but he was Keenan Allen heavy. Like you got to go to Mike Williams, go to your tight end. I know Eckler wasn't there, but they didn't run the ball. They didn't try run the ball at all. So I give him a little bit of a pass this week. But dude, their defense too, man, make a stop. Like, again, first half, Bosa's all over the place. Derwin James is stopping. Dude, you can't let Tannehill come down and come back and beat you. That's like,
it's crazy because Staley is a defensive coach. You're the head coach, and you can't even square up your side of the ball.
Right.
Like, it's just insane. Okay, so let's just say this right now. Does he have the hottest seat right now?
Yes.
Like, if this continues, he doesn't even make it through week 7.
I would agree.
I don't even know who they're playing this week. We'll talk about that later. But, I mean.
I know who they're playing this week. The 0-2 Vikings.
So now we're guaranteed one of those two teams is going to be 0-3. Their season's fucking over.
Yep.
It's amazing. But you're right. Like, that defense is so talented. There's so much talent. I shouldn't say talented. There's so much talent. Why is it average? Why does it stink?
I don't know.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy.
Vikings last week, tough ass. Thursday in Philly. Yeah, it was tough. That's why the week 1 loss to Tampa is so bad. It's killer. It's a killer.
You know who Kirk Cousins is? And I like Kirk Cousins. There's nothing wrong with Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins is a top 12 quarterback in the league. And statistically, he's top 10. But that's the kicker, right? Kirk Cousins had like 400 yards and 4 touchdowns in this game. But he's a compiler. A lot of what he does is he's a compiler. He'll get a couple late touchdowns or something like that. Like they were losing the whole game. That's what
I start to think Deshaun Watson was with the Texans now.
He's starting to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you need it, and Kirk Cousins has shown this in big spots in like primetime games and stuff like that. When you need it, you're not there. When you don't need it, you get that late touchdown, and then the score looks better. Like, what was the final score of that Eagles game? Do you have it there?
What, the Viking game?
Yeah.
34-28.
Yeah, like, it's kind of close. Like, you think, oh, man, that was a pretty good game. It really wasn't. They were never really in that game. So 4 touchdowns sounds great, but it was really compiling numbers. That's all it was. And you're right. That's a good example. I remember thinking that, like, man, Houston's either always far behind or he just puts up big numbers, but it doesn't equate to much.
Right.
That's the thing.
Last
they're
one,
in trouble. They're really in trouble there.
Last one, Patriots. They battle. They don't give up. They get down early, and then Mac Jones isn't built to come from behind, and it just
they really don't have any weapons, dude.
They don't
have weapons. Like this is one thing. If you look back on Belichick's history with New England, God, he was lucky he had Tom Brady because when did they ever really have weapons other than Randy Moss? Is there any receivers of note?
Wes Welker and Edelman were pretty good for a while. They were different.
Yes, but was that?
But they had.
Were
weapons.
they good or were they with Tom Brady?
Well, that's the $1 million question.
This is what I mean. Like they just.
But they always had good backs too. They had James White.
That's true, and they always had good offensive line. And I still think they do both of those pretty well. And obviously their defense is solid.
One of my favorites, the law firm Ben Jarvis Green Ellis was a.
Their defense is really good, so I don't, I'm not going to bury them just yet. But on the other side, Dolphins, I'll tell you what, man. If Tua stays upright and they stay healthy, that is a tough out. I don't care who they play, man.
Yep.
To think that they can go into New England and move the ball like they did against Belichick. Now, the incredible statistic is that Tua is 5-0 against Belichick. Now, if you take Tua out of the equation, if you look at Belichick's record,
that's not true.
Not true. What? He's won 5 straight games against them.
They lost last year in like December. I remember. He didn't start.
He didn't start.
But he did play.
Yeah, I don't think he did. I think that was when he was in concussion protocol.
Okay.
Pretty sure he's won 5. I'm pretty sure that's 5 straight wins for him.
Hold the phone. I might have to prove you wrong here.
Yeah, because he came out and said, "Well, I didn't win 5 straight games against them. We did."
Hold on.
Okay, you go ahead on that. I'm going to say what I was going to say. If you take him out of the equation, Belichick against first or second year quarterbacks, his record is like he wins at a 93% clip or something stupid like that. He doesn't lose to rookie and second year quarterbacks or first time starting quarterbacks. So the fact that Miami's able to do that against him is pretty unbelievable. But they are really friggin' loaded, dude. You got something you want to say? Or
no, I can't find it. Hold on.
I'm pretty sure on that one. But they are really loaded. to put that kind of display at New England against Belichick defense. I was really impressed. I'm not a big Tua guy, and I
20,
still don't know.
23-21 Patriots.
I don't think he played. If you remember, he missed like the
I don't
last.
know. I thought he
5
played because I had him in fantasy and I sat him. Maybe not. Anyway,
He
go
missed
ahead.
like the last 5 or 6 games of the season last year. Remember when he had the second concussion? They roasted him. He was done.
Oh, I remember.
So, Miami has been definitely one of the most impressive teams. I mean, listen, we're only 2 games into the season, and they beat what we now know is an unimpressive Chargers defense, but a really nice win against New England. And more importantly, both of those games were on the road and on both coasts. Now, it's a little easier to go out west when it's your first game of the season. You didn't have a game the week before, but still, you go out west, beat the Chargers, come back home, come back
north.
east, but not home. 2 straight wins on the road for Miami, and both of them in kind of impressive fashion. It's a very dangerous team right now. Very dangerous team. And they're playing okay defense. It's not great, but it's okay.
Dallas too much for Zach and your New York Jets.
We knew this was coming, right?
Yes, we did.
Anybody who was out there thinking, I don't care how good your defense is. I don't care how good your defense is. If your offense can't get first downs and stay on the field for a little while, sooner or later you're going to wear out. Sooner or later within one game, and sooner or later in the season. So you could be a top 5, top 3 defense all you want, but if you lead the league in 3 and outs, sooner or later that defense is going to suck. This was one of the things we talked about with Denver last year, like too often 3 and outs, and then this poor defense, which does a great job, is back on the field. You can't keep doing that. Like they're going to have to find a way to manufacture first downs. This was, by the way, this was definitely not on Zach Wilson. This game was not on Zach Wilson. Micah Parsons.
No, but he's still bad though.
No, he's not good. But I'm just saying this was not like, oh, Zach fucked this again.
Yeah,
That's not what happened. That is not what happened. Frankly, if anything, the defense did let the team
down. Mr. Rookie of the Year, Sauce Gardner, Mr. Drop interception pick.
That was, dude,
not good.
So let's look at that for a second. If he picks that, it's a pick 6. Like there's nobody.
Agreed.
From Dallas all the way to
and
New York.
And it was 10-3 at that game, right?
I think it was 10-7. I think it was 10-7.
I think
and that would have given them a 14-10 lead.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying things could have been different, but things would have been different in the moment, and then who knows what happens, right?
Sure.
But my God, Micah Parsons is
he's a monster. He's a monster.
He is just an unstoppable force of nature, bro.
Absolute monster.
Do you think he is a potential MVP candidate? There hasn't been one.
Listen, I like to say yes, but it's never.
Like
they don't do it. No, it's like the Heisman Trophy. It's quarterback bullshit mostly.
It really kind of is.
Yeah, it's.
But do you think it's possible now? Like after what you see,
I think him and T.J. Watt are definitely top for Defensive Player of the Year. We'll get to that in a minute, but I don't think it's realistic. No, I don't think so.
Probably not realistic, but I think he'll be on the list if this continues. I still think that's a big ask because sooner or later, and of course the Jets didn't do it. They put Dwayne Brown one-on-one with Mike. Like what? Dwayne Brown one-on-one with Micah Parsons?
That's another thing. You know, Aaron Rodgers being out of side. I had a lot of, and I told you and Mike Cohen this. Saleh, I don't know, man. I just.
Well, that's not a Saleh problem. That's a Nathan Hackett problem.
Well, he's also the head coach. He's also the head coach. Let's put another guy. Put another guy on Micah. Put another help him out. Like what?
Yeah, no, it falls on his head. You got to have a tight end or a back chipping him out of the backfield. You can't.
Where's Tyler Conklin been too? A guy had a good year last year. You guys MIA.
Well, so he had an okay year last year, but you got bad quarterback play. So,
but you have bad quarterback play last year, and he was more in the box score than he was.
Well, listen, again, this is a different animal this week against Dallas. That pass rush was just. I'm trying to think back to last year. To me, that's the most duress I've seen him in since he started in this league. Like he was just perpetually every play he was under duress. So, Dwayne Brown he's a problem. Mekhi Becton has been fantastic.
He has been good.
He's been like rock solid, dude. So let's keep our fingers crossed that he stays healthy. But yeah, it's coaching that says, dude, you got to chip this guy. You can't just go one-on-one with the best pass rusher in the fucking league. Like, you can't do it. You can't freaking do it. So, but I didn't expect anything less than that. So, whatever.
Most surprising 2-0 team. Commanders, Buccaneers, Falcons.
Buccaneers to me for sure. I mean, I think I had Atlanta coming in second in their division. They probably should have lost that game, to be honest with you. But yeah, the Buccaneers, we kind of thought it would be a garage sale, kind of like right around now, like after 2, 3, 4 weeks if they were 0-4, and here they are 2-0. And maybe the biggest surprise of all on Tampa Bay is that Baker Mayfield looks really good.
He does.
69% completion percentage. He doesn't turn the ball over. I think the best thing that happened to him was kind of landed in Tampa because there's really no pressure down there. The expectations were totally in the toilet. And he's overperforming.
We agreed on this last year. The best thing that happened to him was going to McVay and the Rams mid-year. It kind of turned him around. It kind of humbled him a little bit, getting kicked out of Carolina.
Well, I think you make a good point with the McVay because of the coaching that he might have probably received, even if it was for a short time. He looked pretty decent with the Rams, and that was with no Cooper Kupp.
We thought they should have kept him as a good backup.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. So you make a good point.
He's turned it around. I think the maturity, and I think now the pressure's off because he's been through it all now, and
he still has a little chip on his shoulder. And when you hear him in interviews, it's a little like, dude, come on.
I know I just think that's who he is.
He's a little too me for me. Just too much. But he's looked good. And listen, they're winning games. You know, it's funny because we looked at that roster and we're like, oh, they're going to suck. And then now you start to look and you're like, well, they do have Mike Evans, and they do have this one, and they do have that one, and they do have these guys on defense. And they're like, well, it's actually not that bad a roster. Last year we thought Tampa was going to have a chance at the Super Bowl. So anyway, that's definitely the most surprising to me, for sure.
3-2-0 team so far in the South. We were a little weary on that division.
New Orleans has not looked great.
That's Carr for you. He's just up and down, and he's getting used to a new offense. I don't know.
They haven't looked great. The defense is good. The defense is very good, but they haven't looked great. Atlanta's a very interesting.
Well, again, another team with no run game. They get Kamara back in 2 weeks. Maybe it'll
That's true. No
change
Kamara right now. That changes things. So
Giants crazy second half. Avoid 0-2, which would have been a fucking disaster.
I just watched them as an organization decide we got to cut this kid loose, and Daniel Jones looked like Josh Allen. Throwing a ball, chucking a ball all over the place. I mean, the Danny Dimes nickname was kind of fitting in the second half of that game. And then when he wanted to, he just took off. That was the best, any period, or whatever you want to say, half of football. But that's the best segment of football I've seen Daniel Jones play since he's been in the league. Like, bar none. That was the best. Between throwing and running and commanding. And then there was one point, I think he ran. Did he run for a touchdown? He ran for one touchdown?
Yeah, I think he did.
And he got up and showed so much emotion, which is the one thing we haven't seen from him at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, this son of a bitch is fired up, dude. Like, I don't know. I kind of liked seeing that. It was kind of like, I don't mean this in a Superman way, but it was kind of like Clark Kent finally coming out. Like, it's almost like he said, I've had it. Let's go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the kind of feel I had from it. And I was like, damn. So, Saquon gets hurt, and there's a couple other injuries on a team. They got a really tough game coming up this week.
Offensive line, yeah.
Yeah, they're banged up. So, but I'm really interested to see if he can continue that kind of more the attitude than anything else. But it was great to see. If you're a Giants fan, you should be really, excited about what you saw from Daniel Jones. Like,
well, I think it's funny.
Capable of?
Yeah, as a Giant fan, you're positive in one sense with Jones, and then you're negative with Barkley out again, and the offensive line being out. Defense looks like shit. So,
But I'm just saying, I guess Daniel Jones was, especially for us, we thought that was still the biggest question mark on this team. Is he really your guy? And if you can just let the reins loose a little bit, and that's who you're going to get, that guy was pretty damn good, man. Like, really good. And then it's great because then you see receivers who we don't even know who they are. They start making great catches. Yeah. Energy is a bitch, man. Momentum is a bitch. So that shit got going, and then there was nothing Arizona could do to stop it. It's really something else. Momentum in football is unlike any other sport, right?
Agreed.
So they got that momentum going in their direction, and that was that, man. There was just no stopping it. It was really crazy.
One more, and then we'll move on. Steelers win a sloppy game. Nick Chubb out for the year, ugly injury, second time.
Oh, God, awful. There's wins, and then there's games that you won. And to me, this is just a game that they won. Steelers didn't play very well. They're just
no.
Yeah, they're grateful. They should be grateful. They got 2 defensive touchdowns in this game. That's not happening every week. This is 2 games in a row now, and I get it. Kenny Pickett has not looked good in either one of these first 2 games, but they're 1-1. They played. Browns have a very good defense. We saw that against Cincinnati, and obviously San Francisco has a friggin' tits defense. So there's that part of it. So I get it, right? Like you came up against 2 of maybe the best defenses in the league right now. But they have questions that need to be answered. Some of them are up front with the offensive line. Some of them are in the coach's booth with offensive coordinator, what's his name, Matt Canada.
Nice chant in the middle of the game.
When fans don't like you and you're just a coordinator, that's a fucking problem, dude. It's one thing when you're the head coach and they don't like you. Dude, when they're calling, WFAN or any of the local sports talk and they're talking about offense coordinators or they're screaming your name, that's not good. That's not good. And you and I never liked that hire in the first place.
Correct.
It goes back to Ben Roethlisberger days. He's been there for at least 3 years now. This is 3rd year, I think.
It's funny.
Never liked it. Never liked the hire.
Pickett hasn't looked good. You're right, but he's always in 3rd and 9.
That's what I'm saying.
It's hard to be. It's hard to be productive when you're in 3rd and 9.
And he's under insane pressure.
Yeah.
Let us not forget. This is only like his 9th or 10th start, something in that range, 11th start. Like, you got to help out a young quarterback, man. There's no help. They can't run the ball.
My brother's a Steeler fan, and he was saying how, like, all the guys were taking the pressure off Canada. He goes, no, it's not him. We're missing blocks. We're missing assignments. I don't know.
Look, it's never sexy to talk about this because it's not what fans are watching. But the line of scrimmage, no matter how they try to change the game, right? You get some more of a passing game. It's more of a running game, blah, 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 blah. This still remains a game that whoever dominates the line of scrimmage usually wins. And when they're on offense, they get the shit beat out of them on the offensive line. And it fucks up everything. If you can't run the ball, then you can't run play action. If you can't run play action, you're just running straight drop back. And Kenny Pickett is not ready he's not Dan Marino yet. He cannot just sit there and drop straight back and get rid of the ball quickly. He's not processing that fast yet. He processes faster than a lot of guys his age or age in football years. But come on, man. He hasn't even started a full season yet, if you really think about it. So they need a running game to some degree to take a little pressure off, and it's just not there. It's not there. Najee Harris isn't a big play running back. Like, it's just not there. So I don't know. They got some problems that they need to work out. Now, hopefully, for their sake, you want hopefully the schedule lightens up a little bit. But I'll hold off on them just because, like I said, they came up against 2 wrecking ball defenses. So we'll see how things change. But they got some problems. They got some problems to deal with. On the other side, Deshaun Watson is, again, you talk about a shitty, bad contract. Oh, my God. You're stuck with this friggin' guy for 5 years with big numbers. All of it guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
All of it guaranteed. Like, wow. They're screwed. He's a shell of himself, dude. I don't know if and when this can turn around. I really don't. I go back to the conversation we've had about guys who didn't play in college during the COVID year. So they sat out a year and then had to come and play in the NFL, and how many of them struggled. Deshaun Watson basically sat out 2 seasons. Like, you're not playing football, and now you're supposed to come in and play good football in the NFL? It's a big ask.
Trey Lance.
Exactly, right? Yeah, so that's a big ask. It's a really big ask. And he's failing miserably.
Week 3 preview. Tonight?
Wait, I got one more thing.
Go ahead, buddy.
Just because I do it every week. We got to give our Justin Fields update on Mr. MVP.
Ew.
You sent me a tweet. It was from behind the quarterback. Justin Fields drops back. I think it was a 3-man rush. And there's a guy uncovered down the seam. Might have been a 4-man rush, but he had full protection. Like it was the cleanest pocket you've ever seen. and a guy just buck open down the seam, down the hash marks for everybody listening, and and the tweet is, "This ended up in a sack." So when people ask, why do you keep, jamming up Justin Fields, it's because of what I see. It's clear as crystal. And you could even go by the stats. Nobody in the NFL, not a single quarterback in the NFL, holds the ball longer than Justin Fields. Like in the pocket. He holds the ball too long. Why? Because he doesn't process what he sees fast enough. So then we get this week, he comes out and kind of alluded, I didn't think it was as bad as people thought. I thought it was coaching comment. I didn't think he was so much saying well, the coaches don't want me to run. I didn't kind of take it that way. I think he was just saying, look, the coaches tell me what to do, I do it. That's how I took it. I didn't think it was as bad. But still, I got to be me. Can someone tell me what the fuck that means? Because I don't know any other position on the field where the player just gets to be me. Isn't the wide receiver, aren't you given a route tree and say, hey, when we say you're going to run a 7 route, you're running a 7 route. If we say you're running an out, you're running an out. You're running it in, you're running it. Nobody gets to say, well, yeah, I'm supposed to run a 15-yard in, but that's not me. So I'm not doing that. I don't understand this. There's guys on the field that are doing what they're coached to do, what the play instructs them to do. Doesn't the quarterback have the same rule? Now, does that mean you can never take off? Does that mean you can never run? No. But there were multiple games last year where he rushed for over 100 yards, and they lost. Running is a complement to your game. You are a distributor of the football. You have to throw the ball. And we've seen now multiple weeks. He looks worse than he did last year. That's coaching?
Does.
Come on. And now I got to
MVP.
be me? I got to be me? What the fuck does that even mean? What are you? Are you not a quarterback? Play quarterback, dude. It's just bizarre to me. We've talked so many times about Lamar Jackson. I say, well, to me, you're never going to win less than 10 games, but I just don't think you're going to win a Super Bowl. He's competent. He's good. Anybody who thinks Lamar Jackson stinks, or if that's what we're saying, I'm not. I think he's really good. I would take Lamar Jackson because I know I'm never going to lose. I'm never going to win less than 10 games. I just don't think he's elite. If you can't see what we're seeing here with Justin Fields, then you just don't want to. You want him to be good, and I get it. I like the kid. He's a nice kid. He's a hard worker, but got a big arm. Great athlete. Nothing against him personal, but if you can't see what's going on, I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know why you're still surprised. This is nothing. This is the same thing with Zach Wilson. Very little has changed with Zach Wilson. When we say, well, what's going on there? What? Because he doesn't process very fast. Is there a way to work with that? Yeah, there is. It's hard because these defense coordinators are fucking good, and these defensive players are really good. So can you work with it? Sure. You're not going to be a very efficient offense, and the Bears are never going to be a very efficient offense, with Justin Fields at quarterback. He's just not that. He's just not that.
Week 3 preview tonight. A little wind out of the sail with Barkley and some guys being out, but Giants at Niners.
Tough week for the Giants too, because tough games, scheduling, short week. Of all the weeks you want a short week, this wasn't it.
Well, they stayed out there, so at least they didn't have to come all the way back.
Yeah, but that kind of sucks too, right?
Oh yeah, sure.
You're not just out there. You're out there, and it's a short week. It's shit. It's a really, really tough spot for them. Plus, San Fran won last week, but it wasn't exact. They weren't thrilled with their performance. Let's put it that way. And when a team like that, when a good team is not thrilled with their performance, they usually come out, have a great week of practice, and it is just a really, really tough spot for the Giants. Forget about point spread. I mean, do you really see a path for them to win this game?
NFL's crazy. Sometimes weird shit happens. The Niners will throw 2 picks, and the Giants will hang around. I think they could hang around. I don't think they win the game, though. I don't see them winning the game, though.
Yeah, this is just one of those times where I think the line is something like 10 or 10 and a half.
I think 10 and a hook.
That's a haul. I mean, that's a lot. I don't know that I would touch the game, but I think it's just a really tough spot for them. And it's a big ask for Daniel Jones. He's going to have so much pressure on him all day today. I mean, again, look at what San Fran did to Kenny Pickett the first week. Bro, a mediocre offensive line with those guys, that's a tough spot. That's a tough
Yep.
spot. The only good thing about it being tonight is that now you're going to get 10 days off before your next game.
11. They play Monday night.
So they get even an extra day.
Yeah.
So that's the only good thing that's coming out of this for them.
Atlanta at the Detroit Lions.
Oh, man. Well, so a week ago, if you would have asked me this game, I would have felt very secure about saying Detroit, but them having lost to Seattle, which we didn't really talk about, but losing at home to Seattle, and the defense looked kind of like it looked last year. So what we thought was an improvement against Kansas City looked pretty bad against a Seattle team that couldn't even score against the Rams at home.
At home.
So now, what'd you say? This game is in Detroit?
It is. And they got some guys banged up too already.
And Atlanta's 2-0. They've looked defensively. This is a way improved team.
Definitely.
Bijan Robinson is, again, I still wouldn't take a running back that early in the draft, but goddamn, is he good, dude? This guy is a real friggin' weapon. I just, you hope a guy like that stays healthy.
Yeah, but your boy Kyle Pitts is a ghost now. That's not helping their
Well,
offense.
is he a ghost or is Ritter just kind of? They have such a harness on him. I think they cut him loose a little early in the game, and then he fucked up, and they're like, no, let's reel it back
run,
in.
screen, screen.
God. It's so like that. They really have a tight leash on him, and I don't blame him because he hasn't looked great. So, what's the game in Detroit?
Yeah.
You would expect this is a perfect spot for Atlanta to kind of lay an egg, and Detroit to get back on track. Totally makes sense, but the NFL doesn't make sense. So, who knows? It's tough. It's tough betting against a team that's 2-0. Again, momentum. Momentum is a bitch. When you start believing in yourself as a team, you can't just say, well, they're probably going to lose. Not so probably. I don't know about that. I don't know if that's true.
Saints at Packers.
Yeah, so the Packers lost to Atlanta last week.
They were in control of that game for a long time.
Really should have won that game. Yeah. And Jordan Love's got 6 touchdown passes, no interceptions so far this season. He's tied for the lead with touchdown passes. But at the end of that game, when they needed one more drive, he didn't have it. This is certainly not on him. The defense let them down in that game. But I don't know. Interesting game, interesting team. I'm fascinated by this whole Green Bay Jordan Love thing. I can't take my eyes off it. Every week I'm watching what's going on there. So we'll see. We'll see what that looks like.
Chargers.
What about you? So the other thing is this will be Jordan Love's first start this season at home. We talked about last week how it's a tough ask to go on the road 2 weeks in a row to start the season, but now he's home opener.
I have no feel on this game at all. It's like you said, Saints have looked shaky, lucky to get out. They got one more week without Kamara. They lost Jamal Williams.
Yeah.
Green Bay, good start, but then they kind of blew it at the end, and nothing Love did was his fault. I just have no feel on this game at all. I know. Yeah. It's weird.
And we always wonder about like dome teams going out playing on grass. Sometimes it's not late in the season.
Yeah, right now I don't worry about it too much, but yeah. We touched on it a little bit before. Chargers at Vikings, both 0-2.
You talk about not having a feel for a game. I don't know what to expect.
I concur.
Where's the game?
In Minnesota.
Yeah. Because Minnesota's defense is not good.
No, it's not good.
That's not a good defense. So they're like constantly falling behind. But I don't trust the Chargers. I still do love Herbert, but there's issues there too, man.
He's starting to. He's
perfect.
He's getting to the point to me where Josh Allen was a little bit, where like you got to start proving it to me a little bit now, dude. Like
I don't know who to compare him to. It's one of those things where like if you look statistically,
Dak?
It looks good. Yeah, maybe he's fallen into that category. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. The stats look good, the completion percentage looks good. But if you're hitting the back out of the backfield 7 times a game,
yeah, well
then, you're picking up 4 yards. Yes, your completion percentage is high, but you don't get anything. There's no value there. So I'm not. This is really hard for me to say because I like Justin Herbert a lot. You know what I mean? Like, what team in this? There's about 3 or 4 teams in this league, maybe that if you could get them and switch with your guy, you would take him. But there's something. You know what I mean? I don't even know what to call it. I guess that's where I'm at right now. Like there's something missing, but I don't know what to call it.
You talked about Daniel Jones before, like when he got up, fired up. Is Herbert almost too calm?
So
very plain Jane.
What's what you want, right? You want a stable, level-headed.
Until you're 0-2 and you're like 0-3.
Like where's the fire? Yeah, I guess so. Like sometimes you need some fire, right? Like Phil Simms was a pretty level-headed quarterback, but then you would see the fire, like a Parcells got in his face. You need to see some fire sometimes. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Urgency? Is urgency what we're missing? I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, man. Like I really can't.
Yeah.
But there's a button that needs to be pushed, and it's not. And I don't know which button it is. So as a former coach, I don't have an answer. I don't know where to go. I really don't. But there's something not working, even on the offense. We've mentioned the defense for sure. But there's something wrong there with Herbert. I don't know what it is.
I got breaking news.
Ooh,
Panthers quarterback Bryce Young out for week 3.
What was the problem?
Ankle and knee.
Oh.
I don't know if that's to just maybe say calm him down.
Take a minute.
Yeah. So they go at Seattle this week. That would have been a disaster. I think that place, and he would have been a mess. I think with Andy Dalton there, I think they give us a better chance to compete in that game.
I agree. We didn't really talk about Carolina, but I'll just say this much about Bryce Young, and then we'll move on. He just really looks small.
He does.
You know what I mean?
He does.
He looks small. And the other side of it, Kyler Murray looks really small, but then he looks like a freaking,
shot out of a cannon,
just running all over the place. Like it's different. Bryce Young just looks small. Everything about him just looks small. It looks like a really, really good high school quarterback playing in the NFL or something like that. Like he just looks small. And the problem with that is it's never going to change.
Right.
That part is never going to change. I'm not even saying he's bad or that he can't play or that it's not going to work. He just looks small, and he's always going to be small. So.
Yep. A couple more. Steelers at Raiders. Sunday night football.
Couple of 1-1 teams. Davante Adams got knocked out of the game last week. Is he playing this week?
Yeah, they said he passed concussion protocol at the end of the game,
okay.
but they were down so much it didn't matter. They left him out.
Gotcha. Just interesting because to me, like, Jimmy G always just finds ways to win. Raiders struggled with winning. So, it's just interesting from that perspective. Like, that's like just – again, so here's a perfect example, right? Like, what's the difference? Who's better, Justin Herbert or Jimmy Garoppolo? I mean, this isn't even a real question.
I know.
It's not even a real question.
Yeah.
It's Justin Herbert. Like, well, who wins?
Jimmy G.
So sometimes Jimmy G, they just get blown out, and they get fucking blown out, and you move on.
Yeah.
But then there's these games where you're like, they just hang around, and in those last 4 minutes, he makes it happen. And you're like, but he wins. He wins. He goes to the playoffs. What is it? I mean, statistically, their numbers aren't even close. They're not even in the same league. One guy plays in the Canadian Football League, and one guy plays in the NFL. But he wins.
It's amazing.
Say what you want, dude. Say what you want. He wins.
2 Monday Nighters again, which I don't love.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, they're like battling against each other. The networks, like, what do you do? Like, you're the same thing. It's like ridiculous.
Yeah, especially when you got them up at the same time. If
I
you
get
did like
back
a
in the
6
day
o'clock
when
and
it
a
was
9 o'clock, that'd be interesting.
Right. But now it's stupid.
No.
And last week's product was brutal too, so that didn't help things.
Because the game sucked.
Right, that's what I mean. Eagles at
so now I got 2 Monday night games, and I don't want to watch either one of them.
Right.
Yeah, I think I ended up going to Monday Night Raw.
Wait for the Olympics to start, for Christ's sake. Eagles at Buccaneers, 2-0 and 2-0.
Yeah, this game is in Philly, I believe.
No, it's in Tampa Bay.
Okay. Well, so here I'll give you this. Philly has not looked great.
Correct.
But they've won. If you look at what's going on there, the biggest thing to me is their defensive backfield is bad. And they're banged up. So they're bad, and now those guys that are bad, they're not – a couple of them are out. So now the guys who weren't good enough to start over the guys who are bad, they're now starting. Who are they playing against? Mike Evans.
Chris Godwin.
Godwin. I always forget Godwin's last name for some. I want to say Galloway, but I know it's not. I know it's not.
Hidey,
but I want to
hidey,
say it every
hidey,
time.
ho.
Chris Godwin, like, they got weapons over there, and Baker's been slinging it, and they're at home. This could be upset city. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if Tampa wins that game? They're 3-0. Uh-oh. He's
I got
raising
more.
his hand.
I got more breaking news.
Breaking news. Dun, 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 dun.
Cowboys. Pro Bowl cornerback Travion Diggs out for the year.
What?
Torn ACL in practice.
Practice? Oh my God. You're kidding me.
Good Lord.
Wow. Talk about season altering. Thank God they got Stephon Gilmore to
That
to be on the
changes
other
some
side.
things. Yep, that changes
Right?
some things.
Wow. How about that one? That's
Good
a
Lord.
tough one, dude. That's a tough one.
And a guy that has Cowboys defense in fantasy, I'm not happy about that.
And a guy who said that the Cowboys were going to win the NFC East this year, I'm not happy about that. But I don't really care about the Cowboys. So. Wow. That's
One
a
more-
tough one.
That's tough.
That's a tough one.
One more, Rams at Bengals. Rams 1-1, Bengals 0-2. I said this is a
Rams at Bengals. This is
This
a
is
must-win.
must-win, dude.
I get it. Like we said before, okay, you can come back from 0-2. Nobody comes back from 0-3. And then on top of the 0-3, look at that division. The Browns are playing better. The Steelers are the Steelers. And Baltimore looks really solid.
Yeah.
You can't be 0-3 right now. They cannot be 0-3. You know what I mean? So, but what do we know we're going to get from Joe Burrow? Or I say, who are we going to get with Joe Burrow? I don't know. What kind of mobility is there going to be? But I tell you what, that has got to be one extremely motivated team. But let's be honest, dude. The Rams have certainly played way over our expectations. That was the other team that we thought it might be a fire sale by week 4, 5, or 6.
Yep.
And they've looked pretty good.
Battling.
Matthew-
They're battling.
Yeah, Matthew Stafford looks good. They look good. They're playing really, really good defense. Surprisingly enough, I still think they're pretty thin. Dude, they're like $70 million over the salary. That's $70 million, or I should say $70 million of dead money.
Dead money.
Like, that's $70 million that they can't spend on this year's roster.
Crazy.
It's fucking crazy, man. I don't know how they're doing it. McVay is a really, really good coach. I mean, he just is a really good coach.
College football, week 3 in
Let's do it.
review.
Lots of great No, there really weren't too many.
I
great
tell you,
games.
the top teams are sleepy, which I don't necessarily have a problem with. Little wake up call is never a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia was down at the half to South Carolina. Michigan was only up by 8 at the half against Bowling Green. Penn State a little sleepy against Illinois, and then the 11 o'clock kick. Florida State almost lost at Boston College.
Probably should have lost. Let's
Probably
be honest.
Texas was up 10-7 at the half against Wyoming, who somebody had Wyoming with the points.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't mind. We got Harbaugh back. On a personal note, Rutgers coming in. Rutgers, tough team. Shannon knows what he's
They're
doing.
playing good.
Yeah, they're battle. So I like having my coach back, and then I think the rest of the teams. But we'll get to the preview in a minute. It is we promised you guys 2 weeks ago and last week. The slate has finally risen to the top, my friend.
Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful week this week.
Another team that struggled, Alabama. My goodness.
Dude, you know what? They cannot settle on a quarterback. They're going back to Milroe. Is that his name?
Yep, they are.
They're going back to Milroe. And what was so weird about the switch is what Nick Saban said. He said, well, he's earned it. Wait, what? He earned it? You sat him and tried 2 other guys, and they sucked. That's not earning it. That's getting the job by default. Like, you didn't earn shit. You played bad. You got benched, and now you just were not as bad as the other 2 guys. Like, wild turn of events here, because it's not just the quarterbacks. They don't have for all the Nick Saban unbelievable defense, usually have great running backs, all this kind of stuff. Look at the NFL. Amazing wide receivers. Some of the best wide receivers in the NFL have come, even if you go back like Julio Jones, like some of the best wide receivers have come from Alabama, and they don't have studs at wideout right now. They just don't. So it's a weird spot.
Julio was like the first one, right? Like Julio, Calvin Ridley, Amari Cooper.
And
then those not the last 4 or 5 guys have been.
Yeah. Is Judy?
Judy, Devontae Smith, Waddle, Michi, Jameson Williams. Yeah,
dude,
there's a lot.
That's what I'm saying.
There's a lot.
Wide receiver, it's like Ohio State and Alabama has
Mhm.
littered the NFL with wide receivers. So they got problems, man. And it's just this is the nature of football, man. You either have a quarterback and you have a chance, or you don't and you have no chance. You're just not that good, no matter what else is going on.
Florida Gators beat the Vols in the
Wow.
swamp.
I was a little surprised at this one. Now, I will tell you this. There was a point in this game, Tennessee had scored a touchdown and made it I think they made it 26-10, because I think it was like 26-3.
Yeah, it was.
Second half, they scored a touchdown, make it 26-10. They're driving, and they get it's like I think it was like a crackback call or something like that. Some kind of bullshit. It was such a shitty call. And it then makes it it would have been a first down, and then it makes it like first and or second and 15 or second and 20, whatever the hell it was, and they just never recovered. And I had said, I was watching that game, I said, man, they're going to score here, because you could just tell the momentum was going their way. The quarterback Milton starts slinging it. I'm like, they get that first down. They would have been probably around the 35-yard line going in. They score there. It's 26-17 late in the third. Momentum is all on their – or actually, it was early in the fourth. And that penalty gets called, and they kick it, and I'm like, now you got no time. They did score, make a little run late, but they basically just ran out of time. They were making a nice comeback, but they ran out of time. So that's a big win for Florida, man. That's a big win. Napier gets a little heat off his back against a rival.
Yes.
That helps him a lot. Now, they got to continue it, but that helps him a lot. That pleased a lot of people down in Florida.
Colorado, the story of the college football season,
Bro.
escapes in double overtime. How late did you stay up?
I did not. I was long gone at that point, but I saw the highlights, and I can tell you this. There has been nothing so good for college football in the last – I'd probably even go back 20 years as Deion Sanders is for college football. As an industry, as a business, as an attraction. 10 o'clock at night on the East Coast, 10 o'clock at night against the Colorado State. Does anybody know their mascot? Anybody?
Rams.
I was going to say, before I say it, does anybody? The Rams, the Colorado State Rams. On ESPN. This game isn't an ABC game, right? It was on ESPN, right? Am I correct about that?
ESPN.
Yeah. 9.2 rating. You don't get a 9.2 for NBA Finals games, dude. A 9 point. Alabama, Texas didn't get a 9.2. I'm not sure Michigan, Ohio State gets a 9.2. It's insane. Colorado, who was literally the worst program in the country last year, is now the biggest attraction in all college sports. I'm not saying they're the best team. Make no mistake. There's no mistake, because they're not that good.
No,
they're the biggest attraction, and it's all because of Deion Sanders. It's unbelievable.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine what the coach of last year's Colorado team is thinking right now? Like, what the fuck?
He may as well, and I say this in jest, he may as well be dead, because nobody even cares who he is. And maybe they're thanking him, because it's because of him that Deion Sanders is now the Colorado Buffaloes coach. It is insane. Now, they didn't play good. And frankly, they should have lost this game. They were down by 10 in the fourth quarter, and they should have lost.
Yeah.
Shedeur Sanders has been masterful at quarterback.
Good player.
Give him all the credit in the world. Now, we're going to see how good he really is in the next 2 weeks. And I got a feeling it's not going to be great. But dude, 3-0.
But I'm not doubting the Sanders boys ever. So after this, I'm not.
Listen, we'll get to that part. But,
I hear you.
It's an amazing story. It's great for. Listen, what was one of the things that I brought to your attention? I've said to you has been a kind of a problem over the last, I don't know, 6 to 10 years, give or take. How many years it's been? Is it's become so regional.
Mm-hmm.
There's Michigan, Ohio State, and then there was Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, and maybe Oklahoma.
Maybe Auburn?
Sometimes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Not lately. It's
know.
like there's 6 teams that the season starts, 6 out of over 100. You're like, one of these teams. How many years in a row did we pick at least 3 out of the 4 teams that make the Final Four? Right? So the fact that we're even talking about Colorado, it's not one of those programs. It's great. the fact that we're even talking about teams in the Pac-12 this year with some of the greatest quarterback play, and then they're going to disappear. Like the conference is going to disappear. It's great. This is great. The fact that Florida State is back on the national stage is great. Folks, whether you like
Notre Dame.
Yes. The fact that Notre Dame and Sam Hartman is playing so well. The fact that this
USC.
is great. It doesn't matter if you like these teams. I'm not talking about whether you like. It's good for the sport. It's good that at 10 o'clock at night, there's a really, really good and important game on.
Right.
Like, it's a good. You don't want college football to be so fucking regional, because then people lose interest.
I agree, brother.
It's when USC, which is an LA team, is good, you get New York viewers. You don't get New York viewers because of Rutgers. You get New York viewers because LA is hot. It's a big deal.
I'm curious to see when they go to the Big Ten, those 4 teams, are they going to have the balls to put Michigan, UCLA on at 10 o'clock, Ohio State, Washington at 10 o'clock? I don't know if they're going to go that late. I think that's probably the 7:30 ABC game or 7:30 Fox game, whatever.
That's okay too, because that game ends at 10:30, whatever.
But I think Northwestern, Oregon is 10 o'clock.
Like, perhaps. Yeah. Hey, listen, I mean, that's the way it goes, man. That's the way it goes. So all that will be very interesting next year. But I just think it's great.
I'll have to take a nap.
It's great for the sport that Colorado and Deion are doing this thing. And I
hope he stays in college. I hope he does a great job.
I do too. I really think he will. I think he doesn't have any interest in the NFL. He wants to be a mentor to young men. He doesn't need to go to the NFL. And dude, remember what I said to you last week? I keep thinking about it. Every time they fucking win a game, I think about this. It might have been after the first week, but I think it was last week. If he wins, I was talking to one of my students at school about this. If he were to win a national championship, it's not going to happen this year. I'm saying that in time. If he wins a national championship as a college football coach, whether at Colorado or somewhere else, he becomes the most impressive athlete.
No, you know we talked about it on this podcast. You should listen to it, bro. It's a good show.
I'm saying I don't know if it was last week or the week before. I know it was this podcast.
You have anything else?
Was there any other interesting games last week? There really wasn't too many, right? It was all.
No.
It was all a setup for this week because there's some doozies.
Week 4 is juiced. I have 8 games written down. Let me know if you want to jump in with anything else.
Let's go.
Your Seminoles at the Clemson Tigers.
Huge. Now, before last week, I would have said I think Florida State
wins by 2 touchdowns.
Really? What's that?
I said before that last week they win by 2 touchdowns. Now,
hold
the phone.
Listen, I think they were really looking forward, looking ahead, looking past Boston College.
That's a real thing, by the way.
What's that?
Looking ahead.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. How do you not?
Yeah.
It's Boston College. They lost to Northern Illinois or something. They lost to, I think it might have been Northern Illinois. So, how do you not overlook them? But they played their balls off. Boston College played their balls off, but, stayed in that game. But this is an awesome game. And again, this is what I'm talking about. It's not Clemson's going to roll Florida State. We got a ball game here, folks, and it's not Alabama, and it's not Ohio. This is great stuff. I expect Florida State to play significantly better.
Yeah.
More than anything, I expect that defense. 2 things that I'm going to say are going to be a lot better than they were last week against Boston College. That defense is going to look more like what it was against LSU, fast and physical. And they looked like last year's Florida State defense last week. They had no running game against Boston College. I promise you that'll be better this week against Clemson too. So
I don't like the noon kick.
It's a tough spot. It's a tough spot. But it's tough no matter what, because that stadium is going to be rocking.
Yeah.
No matter what we think about Clemson this year, and I don't think they're that good, that place is going to be rocking, and it's an early start. If I was Florida State, I would much prefer a little 3:30 or something like that.
Right.
That is at 12. It's a tough spot.
Colorado at Oregon.
I think this is blowout city. What's the kid's name? Hunter, the wide receiver / cornerback. He's injured. They're 23
out 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, we'll see. They're 23-point dogs. They're finally playing what I'll say is a real team, a good football team. They're ranked 16th in the country right now, Colorado?
I think so.
You're going to see why that's a fake. I'm not trying to take away from anything because it's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing, and I hope it's close. And
Shedeur hasn't played in something like that yet.
No, that's what I'm saying. He's played Nebraska, TCU's defense, which was just decimated from graduation and the draft, and Colorado State. So no, this is a different animal they're
Who
facing.
struggled with for most of the game at home. So
Exactly. So now listen, maybe they were looking ahead a little bit to Oregon. It's possible because I know there is talent on this team. I would love to see it. This is one of those no moral victories. If they keep it within 10 points, that's a fucking moral victory. Like, you can hang your hat on that and say, we're here. We are here for real.
Sure.
If they keep this to, like, I don't know, 38-28 or 35-25, something like that, somewhere within 10 points, it's reasonable. And it was kind of close most of the game. You just didn't have the horses. Bro, they're going to be bowl eligible. And that's insane. This team lost by an average of 36 points last year. An average of 36 points. So I'm hoping they keep it close. I don't know that they will.
Sneaky game of the week for me, the UCLA Bruins at Utah.
Interesting game. Is Rising playing yet?
I think he's getting closer. I think that's why this game is starting to get some buzz. I think he might give it a go.
UCLA
but don't rush
3-0?
it, though. Don't rush it.
Is UCLA 3-0?
Yeah, but a sloppy 3-0.
It's not a pretty 3-0, and it hasn't been against much competition. So where's that game?
In the mountains.
Yeah. I'd expect Utah to win that game. They should win that game. But I don't know how long they can continue, like, working their magic. No, but the kid that's starting for them, he looks pretty good too. So
yep.
Talented. Amazing program, isn't it? Utah's an amazing program.
I'm telling you, it's one of my favorites. It really is.
The coach, they're good every year. No 5-star athletes, but yet they
never
put
off the field trouble.
None. Great program.
One game. This game's fun for if you're a college football fan and if you're a fan of a little saltiness. Ole Miss at Alabama. Lane Kiffin goes home again.
And I think this is his best chance to pull off the upset. And here's why I'll say it. Lane Kiffin is always going to have a good offensive team. He's a great offensive mind. They throw the shit at the ball. They don't just throw it. Mississippi runs the ball really well.
You froze up on me, brother.
Team. The best team.
He's back. And he's not. Peter, what's going on over there?
What's going on here? Can you hear me?
There he is.
All right, you got me back? Okay. And I just put a mark down to edit that out. What was I talking about?
Best chance to beat defensively. They got a good team.
This is the best defense I've seen Lane Kiffin had since he's been at Ole Miss. And that coincides with Alabama probably being the worst offense that I've seen since Nick Saban's been there, at least since the first couple of years. So you put those two. Where's the game?
Alabama.
It's tough. But Texas went in there and did it, so
it's funny.
Bad quarterback play, man. It is what it is. It's bad quarterback play in Alabama.
The Ole Miss DC is from Alabama. He was Alabama's DC. Yeah, so they got a lot going on there.
I feel like this is the best chance that he's had since he's been at Ole Miss, and I wouldn't be surprised at all. Who's favoring this game?
Bama by a touchdown.
By what? 6-4?
6.5.
6.5? Wish it was 7, but I think this is a really good spot for Mississippi. I really do. What time's that game? Is that
3:30. 3:30.
I would have liked it at 7.
So you're going up against Colorado, but the night game slate's really good too. So you can't really.
I might have a little something to say about that.
I got this one written down. An old rivalry game. They used to play the Friday after Thanksgiving, and now it's friggin' September 23rd. It's weird. Arkansas at LSU.
Arkansas, didn't they lose last week?
They did the BYU. They choked the game away.
Yeah.
I know. And LSU won big. I had Mississippi State in our picks.
Yeah, that was the coach that I remember last year. I'm like, I just don't like how he looks. He just looks sloppy.
He's a big fellow. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a bigger fella there. I would expect LSU to win pretty handily. BYU's not that great this year.
Famous last words.
I know. You know what that means.
Another sneaky one. Out in the West Coast again, the Pac-12 is just They're taking it and running with it. Oregon State and Washington State.
Dude, your boy Uyunglele or whatever the hell his name.
Playing okay.
Oh, by the way, the kid Cade
Klubick from Clemson?
No, the quarterback for Washington State. Cade Winston, maybe?
I don't know.
Something.
I don't know.
Dude, he threw for 450 yards and 4 touchdowns last week. I'm sorry, against Colorado State, who Colorado struggled against.
Oh.
Do not sleep on Washington State. This is a very good offensive team. I don't know about them
up in
defense.
Pullman, Washington?
But I've been on Oregon State since last year. Like, I like their coach. I like the way they play. If I'm not mistaken, they beat Oregon last year in the
the Battle of the Civil War. Yep.
Yeah.
So you can't say that anymore. I know.
I'm with you. This is a better game than most people realize. Tell me that's a 10 o'clock game. Is that a 10 o'clock start?
Hold the phone.
Because that's a really nice game to end the night. If you're just, and by the way, here in New Jersey, or at least in South Jersey, we got some shitty weather coming in on Saturday. What a great weekend for us to have shitty weather, so I don't even have to get off the couch to go to the bathroom.
I am with you.
What time's that game start?
I am peaking 7. God damn it.
Damn it. I would like it a little
Dude,
later.
they put it on Fox, though. Imagine Oregon State, Washington on Fox. Tremendous.
Well, you are getting a 10:30 game out in the West Coast, Washington versus California at Washington. You get to see who I picked and might be the leader in the clubhouse right now for the Heisman Trophy is Michael Penix, putting up bananas numbers,
for sure.
Dude, like insane numbers. So that'll be. I'll probably end up watching that one later.
USC Arizona State too at 10:30.
Yeah, that's going to be a shit show. Arizona State, I think they lost to like Northern Arizona. They're so bad. It's a bad.
Here's your main events.
Of course.
Iowa at Penn State.
At Penn State, if it was at Iowa, I would feel a little different about it. Iowa just doesn't score enough, I think.
Yeah.
But they always play tough defense. And here's the other reality. You can say what you want about Iowa not being a premier program. I think their offensive coordinator it's just a weird situation. It's the coach's son.
Yeah.
But the head coach, Ferentz, isn't on the hot seat. The coordinator is. It's like something like he has to average 24 points a game this year or else he's going to get fired. I think it's actually like they actually put a number on it. So, but you can say what you want about them not being an elite program. When they play the top teams, rarely is it a blowout. Like they just find ways to stay close. Like they just play them tough, whether it's just they get up for it or they coach it well. So expect a tough physical game, if nothing else. I know Penn State is excited about their young quarterback this year. I've seen glimpses of him looking pretty good, but I'm not there yet. I'm not super excited yet. I think he was a 5-star recruit, so
yeah,
I'm sure he'll perhaps he'll turn out to be good. I'm not blown away yet. I'll leave it at that. But they look good. Should be a fun game.
Your steak and lobster tail, Ohio State at Notre Dame.
Fascinating because both of these teams are not kind of what we expected before the season started for opposite reasons.
Mm-hmm.
We always expect Ohio State to be a high-flying offensive team, and they haven't been. And I don't know if we knew what to expect at all out of Notre Dame.
Correct.
But what's his name? Sam Hartman?
Yeah.
Dude. Talk about a guy who's put himself at least on the list.
And he was on my list, I think, if you remember.
Heisman list. Absolutely. And if Notre Dame does pull the upset this week, and I say upset because it's at Ohio State, that's a tough call.
No, it's at Notre Dame. It's at Notre Dame.
Is it at Notre Dame?
Yeah.
But Ohio State's favored, right?
Yeah.
By what? What are they favored by?
Field goal.
If Notre Dame wins this game, they pull the upset. Sam Hartman shoots to one of the top 2 or 3 spots on the list for sure.
Him, Penix, and Caleb probably, right? Would be your top 3?
I would think those are your top 3 right now. I don't think.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of who could even sneak in there at some point. The only other guy I can think of is if the kid, what's his name, Leonard, the quarterback from Duke.
He's not sneaking up there.
Well, I'm saying if they continue winning and pulling off upsets, I mean, dude, they beat fucking Clemson and he looked great. And now here's what I will say about him. Nobody even knew who he was. And now they're talking about him as a potential first-round pick. I don't know about a top of the first round, but a first round. That's a big move for someone that didn't even exist in our consciousness 3 weeks ago. So that's the only other guy I can think of. Here's why I say it, because he's going to be in a position to get some big upset wins.
Yeah, that's true.
They're going to play North Carolina, Florida State, Miami.
Can Bo Nix get up there from Oregon?
I've never been a fan.
He's putting up some numbers,
is it possible? Yeah. What do you have to do? You have to beat Washington, Michael Penix. You have to beat USC.
Correct.
Caleb
Well, that's the
Williams.
same thing your Duke argument. Keep beating these good teams.
In that, yes. Then yes, the answer you're right is yes. He has a chance. That's what he has to do, though. Boy, the Pac-12 is so interesting.
It's crazy.
Dude.
And dude, one of those teams are gonna get picked off by Oregon State, Washington State, or Utah. Too. Like, dude, I know it's crazy. I know.
Yeah.
UCLA.
I mean, there's really some great quarterback play out there, man.
It's crazy.
It's just crazy that the conference isn't even going to exist anymore.
You want to?
So I don't know. You have a feeling on that game?
I like Notre Dame, but that's not even an Ohio State thing for me. I think they just look cleaner right now. I don't know. But listen, Ohio State could blow it up at any point. I get it. They're so explosive.
I just haven't seen the quarterback play from Ohio State.
Night too.
That's what I'm saying. I haven't seen the quarterback play from Ohio State yet. For me to say they can go at Notre Dame and win that game.
That's the thing. I don't know what Notre Dame's defense looks like because they haven't really played anyone yet. And NC State gave them a scare. So this is a better team, but Ohio State defensively, same thing.
Ohio State hasn't even looked good against bad teams, though. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. They finally stepped it up last week a little bit, but
Who they play last week?
Western Kentucky.
And they scored 31 points.
No, they scored 63 points. The week before, they scored 31.
Okay. Yeah.
Against Youngstown, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, it was not great.
I hear you. You want to gamble, brother?
You know I always like doing that. Let me play the music. I totally forgot to say.
So last week, we were both 2-1-1.
What were the winners and losers last week?
I could tell you that real quick. Scotty's winners were the Wyoming Cowboys and the Seattle Seahawks. The loser was the Mississippi State Bulldogs, and the push was the Saints on Monday night. Excuse me. Pete Calaciano's winners were both on Saturday. No, I'm sorry, both college, but one on Friday and one on Saturday. Maryland Terrapins blew out.
That was a nice winner.
Yep, that was a great one. Never in doubt. And then North Carolina beat up the Golden Gophers.
Had a feeling about that one. I actually had to go and look up the line when I saw the score. I'm like, because they won pretty big. They won by like 17.
17, 18.
Something like that. And I'm like, shit, what was the line? So
your loser was the New York Giants. They did not cover. They won, but did not cover. And then your push were the Falcons. Lucky guy they would have pushed, but lucky is good, my friend. So
I get unlucky most of the time, so I'll take lucky every once in a while.
Why don't you kick us off this week, sir?
Why don't you kick us off this week? Because I have to straighten out some of my paperwork, if you don't mind.
Oh, here we go. He's got 22 games to choose from again, this guy.
All right.
I'm going to ride one of your teams from last week. I'm going to go with the Maryland Terrapins -7.5 at Sparty. Sparty looked like an absolute dumpster fire last week. They got a lot going on up there. Coach is fired. No, he's suspended. No, he's going to be fired. Going back and forth with court, with agreements. The team came out flat as a pancake. The assistant coach that's take over for them, I think his name is Harold something. He's a longtime Michigan State guy. Not a great start. Maryland's dangerous. Tua's brother, Talia Tagovailoa, I think his name is. Great athlete, good player. They got some weapons. I don't think Michigan State could hang around, but I think Maryland's better and more focused.
This is going to be a very unpopular pick, but as my father used to say, bet with your head and not with your heart. So people are going to be not happy with me at all on this one. I'm going to take Oregon. I don't know how Oregon. I don't know how you say it. Whatever. You say it. Doesn't matter. Oregon -21 against Colorado. Look, I love this story, and I'm rooting for it. And if I lose this one, as Steve Stavali would say, it's called a win tax. Okay, I lose the bet, but the team looks better than I had hoped. I just don't see it. Listen, the one thing about Colorado coming into the season is that they were thin. Okay, talented because he was able to bring in the NIL guys and some of those recruits, but they're thin and they already have some injuries racking up. And it was never that good of a defense in the first place. Now you're playing what ranked team in the country? What is that? What is Oregon? 8, 10,
11,
whatever
8,
the hell, something like that. I'm sorry, but the honeymoon ends this weekend. Give me Oregon -21. I know. The bad guy.
Peter.
Okay, I'm the bad guy. Give me Oregon -21 against Colorado. Sorry.
You said it before. The Iowa Hawkeyes have a tendency to hang around in these big games.
They do, folks.
Whiteout game in Happy Valley. Very, very tough. I've seen it with my own eyes, not live, but I'm on my couch with my Michigan jersey on. Iowa's offense is very, 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 very weird. It's been this way for about 15 years. I don't know why they can't figure it out. Penn State, very good. Good running backs. Wide receivers aren't great yet. First big spot for the quarterback. Does he shake it off? I know he played week one, but West Virginia's terrible. I think Penn State wins, but I think Iowa hangs around. I think 30-21, 30-17. They just sneak in, but I think
if they can hold Penn State under 30 points, they cover.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
And I think they can. I think they probably will. So
24-13, something like that. Yeah.
Totally see that. That totally makes sense to me. You know what I mean? They always play tough to eat. They always play tough against these big
Iowa teams. Plus 15. I don't know if I mentioned the number.
You did. I'm staying out west. I mentioned it a little earlier. Yeah, UCLA's undefeated, but they've played nothing but pancakes this whole time. And Utah, frankly, is already kind of battle-tested. They've gone on the road and won tough games. They've done it without their starting quarterback. I don't know if Rising is playing or not, but even if he doesn't, I don't care because right now I just don't believe in UCLA. So give me Utah -6. Great program, steady as a rock, never let you down. Give me Utah -6 over UCLA.
That number went up. I saw it at 4 the other day. To the NFL we go.
Indeed.
And Peter, I apologize in advance, but I have seen nothing from Zach Wilson. You said it before. I don't care how good your defense is. Your offense needs to do something. The Patriots have won 14 games in a row against the Jets. Garrett Wilson getting a little upset in the sideline with Zach. That can't be good. Breece Hall tweeting after the game about his carries. Yeah. Are they? Is the boat starting to rock already? In Florham Park?
Oh, man.
Patriots rarely go 0-3. Patriots plus 2.5 at the Meadowlands.
I can't argue with that at all, dude.
I didn't want to do it.
If you watch the Jets with Zach Wilson against the Patriots, he looks like a third grader doing algebra 2. It's rough. It's rough. He looks so confused. I like what Atlanta's been doing so far. I thought they were going to be improved this year, and if there's anything that they're really improved at, it's defense. But I think they're walking into a really tough spot here. They started off 2-0. Detroit should have won that game last week. They should have won at home. They had extra time. They had 3 extra days. They should have won that game. They got to be disappointed. You know, Dan Campbell got up their ass this week about, hey, we're supposed to be a good team. We're telling people we're a good team, but we lose at home to Seattle? Can't do that. And I think they come out super. This is to me, a perfect spot for Dan Campbell. Never mind like Detroit, Goff, and this is a great spot for Dan Campbell because this is built for him. We didn't play great last week. They're coming in here fired up. Who are we this week? Who are we as a team? And I think Detroit, we thought they're better. They looked really good against Kansas City. I think they show it. I think it's a tough spot for Atlanta after a big comeback win to now hit the road and go to Detroit against an upset team, like a pissed-off team. What is the line here? Give me Detroit -3 against Atlanta.
Last one for me, Coach. I'm going Monday night. I didn't like this team when we did our picks. We did our preseason predictions. And now even worse, the quarterback's limping around. I know it's blasphemy thinking the Bengals go 0-3, but I think they do. I like the Rams +2 in Cincinnati. He might not even play. I don't even know who the backup is. If he does play, if he gets banged up early, the Rams could see blood in the water. They've been running the ball fantastic. Stafford looks like his old self. It's the pupil and the teacher, whatever the saying is, Taylor and McVay. McVay looks like he's focus is back. Front seven's good. Give me the Rams +2 in Cincinnati.
Wow, that's a ballsy pick. I love when you do those because those usually work out for you when I'm like, man, you got balls pulling the trigger on that one. I feel like this is a sucker bet, but maybe I'm just a sucker. There's been one team that's been more impressive than anybody else in the league this year, and that's been the Miami Dolphins. They go on the road and have kind of a comeback, kind of a back and forth, but I would still call it like a comeback victory against the Chargers. Then they go and beat and look very impressive. Tua looks great. They look well coached against the Patriots. When's the last time you've seen like Belichick look out coached?
Yeah,
Doesn't happen very
It
often.
looked befuddled. Like
He just didn't look like he had any
Are
answers
you
for
taking the
anything.
fucking Broncos here?
No.
Oh,
I think
thank God.
I think it's a sucker bet because why is the line only 6.5? This is their first home game of the season. Nobody's looked more impressive, but they're only favorite. You would say this.
Listen, there's not that many good spreads, though, man. There's not that many big spreads in the NFL. That's like
I know, but
what do you think it should be?
6.5?
8.5, 9?
I would think so. It's 2-0
I could
impressive
see
against
that.
a team that's 0-2 that can't seem to play can't play defense or offense in the fourth quarter.
1 o'clock kick too. That's
1 o'clock kick. It's
yeah.
the Heat. Give me the Dolphins minus less than a touchdown, minus the 6.5. Give me the Dolphins all day. It seems like a sucker bet. Like I'm being sucked in. Vegas knows something. I'm being sucked in, but suck me in. That sounds awesome. But anyway, give me the Dolphins minus the 6.5.
I gotta tell you, dude, as a Bronco fan,
and the line seemed low.
Could this be one of these games where like Denver throws something up and they lose by 5?
That's what I mean. It's a sucker bet. Like I got sucked in, and I'll take it. I'm being sucked in.
I don't see.
I'd rather be sucked up than sucked in. But what are you gonna do?
I don't see Denver winning this game at all. But the number is weird.
How can this is the NFL though, right? Nobody's looked better, and then somehow they're gonna find a way to like get pressure onto interceptions, and it's like where did this come from? It always happens, but I'm falling for it.
By the way, real quick, I know we should talk about this before. I hate our defensive coordinator. This guy Vance Joseph sucked before with the Broncos as head coach. This guy stinks. And Rex is going on ESPN fucking MF. And if I was the DC, because he was in the running for it.
I know. So now you want to know what I really wanted to take. I just didn't have the balls. Like you have the balls to pull the trigger on some of these. I really like Tampa. I really wanted to pull a trigger on Tampa.
I could see that.
I don't believe it. I guess I still don't believe in Baker.
5?
Yeah, they're getting 5 at home. 5
or
5.5 at home. And I'm telling you that Philadelphia. This is what this is. This is like the trivia question where I have the right answer.
Yeah.
I just won't say it. I'm telling you it's the right answer, but I still won't say it.
Listen.
Speaking of trivia,
no one's blaming you for being afraid of Baker. I get it. That's a real thing.
Because in the end, look, Philly still has a really good pass rush. And you put pressure on Baker, I don't know what the fuck he's going to do.
Correct.
But the back end of that Eagles defense is really bad right now, man. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if Tampa wins this game. Don't be surprised. Because listen, the other thing is Tampa can stop the run. If there's anything that their defense still does pretty well, they can stop the run. And that's what Philly really wants to do. So it's not one of my picks, but I'm just telling you, I'm being honest. I don't have the balls to pull a trigger on it like you do. So. Kind of a pussy like that. So anyway.
All right, a little trivia.
It's time. Best part of the pocket. Everybody's favorite.
I went a little fun this week. I didn't want to beat you up too bad again. I think you're over your last.
Enough beatings.
I'm getting texts. People are hysterically laughing during this segment.
I'm not laughing. I'm laughing, but it's more like a cry laugh.
Yeah,
like
if you don't laugh, you're gonna cry.
Oh.
All right, buddy. First one out of the gate. 8 players have rushed for 2,000 yards. Can you give me 5?
Oh my God. O.J. Simpson.
Mm-hmm. The Juice.
What's his name? Wore the glasses for the Rams.
The glove didn't fit. I'll give you that one. Eric Dickerson.
2,000 yards.
Off to a good start.
No, but I'm stalling. How about Derrick Henry?
No, yes, he did. Yep, that's 3 for 3.
That's 3. I need 2 more. Shit. How about a hint? Can you give me a team?
I can give you a hint.
Give me a hint.
2 of these guys won Super Bowls.
2 of these guys won.
I know that's very unrare with running backs when they have good years, they don't win the Super Bowl, but
I'm going to throw this out there, but I don't think it's right. Shaun Alexander?
No. Good guess.
Okay.
No. And he lost the Super Bowl, by the way.
Oh, you're right. I'm going to need more.
My favorite team.
Oh, Jesus. What the hell is his name?
Does this help?
Yeah, no, I can't remember his name.
Terrell Davis.
TD. I'm like CD, DC. I'm like, what the hell is it? What are the initials? I couldn't think of the damn initials. He rushed for 2,000, huh?
He did.
Yeah, shit. Was that
Want
the
me-
year they won the Super Bowl?
The second
One of
year
the
they won.
two?
Yeah, the second year. Want me to give you the other ones?
Give me
I'll
one more
you
hint. Give me a team. Give me a team.
Let's not make it that easy for you. Ravens. Because the other ones I think are kind of obvious, so that's why I went with
Ravens. No, I got nothing.
Jamal Lewis.
Okay, he ran for 2,000.
Yeah.
No shit.
Barry Sanders.
I wanted to say Barry Sanders, but I never thought he went over 2,000.
It's in your mouth again. You don't. You got to spit it out.
Oh my god! I should
Chris
have just said it. I've been
Johnson.
wrong. Who was it?
Remember Chris Johnson with the Titans?
Wow.
And of
I
course,
never would have guessed that.
the great Adrian Peterson.
Okay. Who did he do? Did he do in Minnesota?
He did.
Okay. Nice. That was good. That was good.
Yeah, change up a little bit, right?
It's always hard to reach through the entirety of history sometimes.
I got
obviously Adrian Peterson's so obvious when you say it, but
yeah, but there was no limits on guesses. There was no
head.
limits on guesses. You could have went.
No,
I know.
I could just throw a shit no. His name. This is what I'm saying. His name didn't even pop in my head. That's what's even crazy. But then as soon as you say it, I'm like, duh.
This is right in your backyard.
Okay.
In the year 2000, your New York Jets had 4 first-round picks, the first team ever. Can you name them?
I cannot name all 4. Was Chad Pennington one of them?
He was pick number 18.
They picked what the hell is it? Was a tight end, right? Kyle Brady?
Nope.
That wasn't that year?
You're on the right track.
It was a tight end though?
Mm-hmm. He's in broadcasting now.
Who the hell was the tight end? Who was it?
Anthony Beck.
Oh my god, yeah. He's actually pretty good broadcaster.
Pick number 27, he is pretty good.
They picked didn't they pick a defensive end that year too?
They might have picked 2.
2 defensive ends.
Or / outside linebacker.
Yeah, or pass rushers. The names. No booze today, too. I got back to school night, so I can't even blame it on the booze. Shit. Help me out.
Sean Ellis.
He was okay.
Pick number 12.
I know the other guy was out of South Carolina, right?
Yep.
What's his name?
Had a better career with the Falcons, I think.
Probably.
John Abraham, pick number 13.
He was good. He was good.
He was really good.
And what's funny about them is Ellis coming out of college probably was thought of as a better pass rusher, but he ended up being a better run stopper.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good draft. That's a pretty good draft.
Yeah.
Beck probably shouldn't have been a first-round pick, but Ellis was good. He wasn't great, but he was good. Alexander was good.
Yeah. Abraham, not
Abraham Alexander. What am I saying?
Who has the most interceptions in NFL history? Paul Krause, Dick Lane, Rod Woodson, Ed Reed.
All right, so I always like to give you my initial.
I love it.
Right off the top of my head, like as soon as you gave me the answer, I was like Ed Reed. I feel like because he was just such a ball hawk, but Woodson was too. Which means it's probably one of those other 2 guys because I don't even know who they are.
Corner and safety.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. He had a lot of opportunities and played in the league for a long time.
Yeah, he did.
Played in the league for a long time.
Steelers, Raiders, Ravens.
Yeah.
Is he a Niner for a cup of coffee too? No.
It's got to be one of the other 2, right?
I don't know. Is it?
What you always do to me. I don't even know who the hell they are. Say their names again.
Paul Krause and Dick Night Train Lane.
Yeah. I'm going to go with my instinct here, and I'll go with Ed Reed.
It would be Paul Krause.
Of course it is. Thank you.
And we're back.
Oh, my God. Just massive fails on epic levels. I can't even, is that it? Is the torture over?
That's it, bro. Let's win some money this weekend.
It's just brutal.
Good luck to your Knowles. Good luck to your Jets.
Let's go. Listen, we got some great games, both the NFL and college football. Really, really telling games. Like, these are season definers. Like, it's crazy to say this early in a season, but some of these teams, the Chargers, the Vikings, the Bengals, Florida State, Clemson, Alabama's season is on the line. Could you imagine if Alabama has, by the way, I love Mississippi. That was going to be one of my other picks. I waffled, and I went with Utah instead. So I'm like, am I really going to pick against Alabama? And then you look at the NFL, like how many teams have there's a lot of teams that it's crazy to say, but teams that we know, that we like, that we expect to be good, their season is really on the line in week 3 or 4 or 5, whatever it is for the college, and week 3 in the NFL. It's awesome. I mean, it's awesome.
Listen, weather's supposed to be bad. Get some snacks, hang out on the
Snacks,
couch, watch some
booze.
football.
Gain some weight this weekend and enjoy the games. For Scott Bracey, I'm Pete Calisano. You've been listening to Bump and Run, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Later.
All right.
All right, go do your
okay?
thing.
Oh my God, it took an hour and a half. Shit.
Yeah,
All right.
no.
I'll have this, but it'll be later tonight because
No
I got
problem,
back
dude.
to school night. He's got a game. But I'll get it done tonight. I got it. All right,
buddy.
later on.
All right, later.